Now, some of you are wondering, what the hell is this? This is Out of This World for the Super Nintendo, and that's a very appropriate name because this game is weird. It was originally titled Another World when it was originally released in Europe, and that's what all re-releases call it nowadays, and yes, there are re-releases. It's even been ported to the Nintendo Switch. The game was created on a Commodore Amiga, but it quickly found itself being ported to every system. The Sega Genesis, Sega CD, 3DO, DOS, and the version I'm looking at today, the Super Nintendo version. I originally learned about this game back in 2011. ScrewAttack did a video called Top 20 Genesis Game, and this game was on the list. And I quickly looked up a video about it, and I found Cube X55's long play of the game. The channel is now called World of Long Play, but anyways, the game is actually kind of important because it was created by one guy, and if nothing else, Hideo Kojima said that this was one of the 5 games that actually inspired him, so, yeah. Once you get past the title screen, the game starts with a full motion cutscene. Okay, that's pretty neat to see on the Super Nintendo. Anyways, Lester is working on a science experiment when lightning strikes, causing him to be transferred to another world. You quickly meet the world's inhabitants, who are not quite friendly. You meet an alien buddy who helps you bust out of jail, and now you must escape. The game presents the story with full motion cutscenes, kind of like a modern video game. The smooth animation isn't just present in the cutscene, all the animation during the game is super smooth. The graphics are super simple, but that's what makes them look cool. Now, as you can tell from the gameplay footage, it's a cinematic platforming game. The movement is a bit stiff, but nothing too bad. However, my biggest complaint is the control layout. Now, jumping has its own button. However, shooting and running are mapped to the same button. This can be frustrating as I go to put up a shield, but I need to move forward a little to shoot without shooting my shields. But I sprint past my shield and get myself shot. It makes combat feel like a crapshoot sometimes, and sometimes it still is, even without the control issues. It's one of those games where it's one hit and you're dead kind of games. Also, it's not obvious what you have to do sometimes. Like, if I don't shoot this, I can't progress. So have a guide ready. This might sound like my last review, however, fear not, because you have unlimited lives and checkpoints are frequent, which is something you don't see that often in a Super Nintendo game, or a crappy bad game. It's more like a modern video game. I recommend using a guide as stated, but I also recommend you play this in short bursts. There is no battery save, but there is a super convenient password. The music is pretty good, but this is where the versions differ. Now, the SNES version holds up pretty well to the original Amiga version, although the SNES version does have an area that the original Amiga version doesn't have. The original Amiga version has little music in it. Pretty much all console versions added a lot of music to the game, and each version is different. Although the Super Nintendo version is a pretty good port for the time, it's not the best. That goes to the Sega CD version, as it uses the CD quality music to create the best soundtrack out of them all. There is also the recent Switch port, which has a save system, level select, difficulty settings, new graphics, a remaster of the original soundtrack, and a console soundtrack. Which is a bit confusing because, like I said, there are several console versions. It's the Sega CD version, by the way. Once again, there are better alternatives out there, but when it comes to gameplay, at its core, it's identical. With that said, I'll give the Super Nintendo version a 4 out of 5. Once again, there are technically better alternatives out there, but when it comes to gameplay, this one is perfectly fine. In fact, I would say that this game was actually a little ahead of its time.